Hello and welcome to Security Scan. I'm Vishal Dahiya, and this week we will take a look at the attack helicopter Apache. 3 years after a deal for 22 AH-64E Apache attack helicopters was finalized, American defense major Boeing has recently carried out the first flights of Apache. Indian Air Force will start receiving these multi-role attack helicopters from March next year. In addition to these 22, 6 more Apache attack helicopters with weapon system have been ordered for the Army as well. Considered as the most lethal attack helicopter in the world, the Apache can fire 30 mm armor-penetrating bullets and is often called the tank killer. 11 of the 22 Apache attack copters for the Indian Air Force will come fitted with longbow fire control radar system that has given it a fearsome reputation. Some of the latest features of Apache include joint digital operability, improved survivability, and cognitive decision-making. So what are the salient features of the new attack copter, and how will it augment the strength of both Indian Air Force and Indian Army? For more on this, we're joined by a distinguished panel of guests today in the studio. Let me start by introducing them to you, beginning with retired Major General Ravi Arora, the Chief Editor of Indian Military Review. And we also have with us retired Air Commodore Prashant Dikshit. Is the security expert we have. And we also have retired Lieutenant General B.S. Pawar, a former ADG of Army Aviation Corps. Welcome all of you gentlemen to Rajya Sabha TV studios. Let me begin with you, General Pawar, to try and understand. Let's first, for our viewers, try and understand this attack copter, which we are buying from Boeing, 22 of them for the Indian Air Force, 6 of them for the Army. What exactly are the salient features when it comes to Apache?
As you yourself brought out, the Apache is one of the most technically advanced and lethal helicopters today, attack helicopters. It's a class of its own. See, the first Apache came in 1975. Over the years, there have been upgradations. There have been no new designs as such. And the latest one, the 64E, which is called the Guardian, is the latest upgradation in which 28 modifications and upgradations were carried out. Now, I will just refer to 3 major upgradations. More powerful engines, composite rotor blades, and the transmission system. Why this is essential is, the moment you have a more powerful engine, it increases your speed, gives you a wider range, and also gives you a capacity to carry more load. Similarly, the transmission system absorbs the additional power that has been created by the engine. And the composite blades allow you to fly at higher speeds, as well as they provide protection against small arms fire, these composite brigades. So there are 28 modifications, but I am only, and digital side. The best thing that the Apache has is this dome and the longbow fire control radar. It doesn't have to expose itself, and is capable of firing the Hellfire missile and forget about it. That's why it's called fire and forget. In actual terms, it is fire and forget, because he can be behind an obstacle. Only the dome is visible, acquires the target, and lets the Hellfire missiles do the job. And that is why it's a dreaded anti-tank helicopter today. There are other helicopters, but the capability technologically is the maximum with the Apache.
Okay, so technologically it is a much more advanced helicopter. Let me bring in Air Commodore Prashant Dikshit here. Commodore, if you look at the firepower, some of which was referred to by General Pawar as well, in terms of firepower, how do you rate Apache when it comes to other attack copters which were available in the world, but we decided to go for Apache?
Well, I think we used to earlier use the Mi-17 or the Mi-26. General Pawar will wear me out on that. But it seems these machines are not being made by the Russians anymore. So we had to go for this. But I'll be overstating the point about the Apache helicopter. It's the best platform. And if it's available to us without problems to the American state government, I think we should go for it. Mind you, the current nature of warfare has altered. The use of choppers in the rapidly moving warring systems is much in use. The Americans use that in Vietnam, elsewhere, wherever they took their troops to. We have also not encountered this situation, but there would be a time when we have to. And most things is an attack helicopter. The term itself is an attack helicopter. There is a motive to it. It can neutralize systems on ground which are coming back to you. It can take off radar stations. It can take off other soldier-fired weapon systems on ground, or it can take on tanks, whatever the thing which is possible. And General Pawar says, you fired a weapon and you forgot about it. And then the systems on board guided it onto that. I don't think the existing systems which we were using, nor elsewhere in the world, such facilities are available. That is what is the fact.
So it is rightly known as the most lethal attack copter, which is available as of now. Let me bring in Major Arora here, and on the same aspect, specifically looking at Apache's capabilities and its characteristics as well. How would you go about describing Apache in terms of its firepower, in terms of its capability as well, and the technical upgrades which General Pawar was pointing out earlier?
Simply stated, it can carry 1,200 rounds of 30 millimeter ammunition, 76 rockets, 16 Hellfire missiles, 4 Stinger air-to-air missiles. This is the weapon load. Okay. And if it adjusts its weapons, it can carry 400 gallons of fuel extra. It's got those fuel pods available. Now combine this with all-weather capability because of its avionics, combine it with day and night capability, combine it with its longbow radar, which allows it to acquire targets, prioritize targets, and take on targets without showing itself. Its survivability increases. It has only crew of 2. And it is smaller than the Mi-35 that we are using now, which is much bigger, heavier, more vulnerable, more expensive to maintain. This helicopter has been designed in that manner that it is much more effective, much more capable, and much more survivable.
Okay.
Now, this makes it a game changer. This makes it a force multiplier. And a force multiplier, it's first coming for the Air Force, these 11 copies out of 22, and some coming for the Army. But remember, the Army requires 38, which have been approved by the Defense Acquisition Council. When these 22 were approved in 2015 for the Air Force, the Defense Minister had said that all future attack helicopters will be operated by the Army. But these 22 will go to the Air Force because both the Air Force and the Army will operate them. These are multi-role helicopters. The Air Force is going to use them for suppressing enemy air defense, for counter-air operations, for interdiction, and for combat rescue and survival.
Okay.
The Army is going to use them for their strike corps, and I'll come to that later.
Okay, we will come to that part as well. But staying with Apache's qualities and Apache's specifics as well, one very interesting aspect which is being pointed out, and that in terms of the latest upgrade, is the joint digital operability. General Pawar, how would you define, as in, what exactly specifically is joint digital operability, and how does it make Apache one notch higher than other attack copters, maybe?
See, basically this, I will concentrate on 2 issues. With the joint digital compatibility, it can operate with the UAVs, which is one of the most advanced things a helicopter can do, which was not there earlier. And the second is, it can pass on this data digitally to other attack helicopters, the Apaches operating, who have similar radars on board. These are the 2 main things. When we say digitally compatible, I mean, you control a UAV, which is in attack mode. So in addition to yourself, you are hiding somewhere, but you can control a UAV which is going for attack. I think you can't have anything better than that. What a force multiplier.
So that's an add-on which is there.
Add-on, very much add-on. This is out of these 22 upgrades.
Okay. Coming to the point which General Arora was pointing, and let me bring in Commander Dixit here on this. We've had a lot of discussions about attack copters for who should operate, be it the Army or the Air Force. So beginning with you, from the Indian Air Force's point of view, what exactly is the viewpoint? As in, should both of them go for it depending upon their needs and requirements, or the Army's viewpoint, which has been put on place earlier as well, that Army should be allowed to go ahead and operate attack copters specifically in battlefields? Which one is a much better position and much better situation?
I would not actually go on to a debate on that issue. This has been a raging debate, and the Air Force has been claiming primacy on having attacked helicopters with a view that in the battlefield they have a role to play in suppressing any firepower on any other shoot, or what General Pawar or the General has said about, counter air. This was the traditional way of thinking. But in the times to come, if we are wanting to change and alter, we should go along as far as we have compatibility in our operations within the two systems, and there is a clear understanding as to who is playing that role. Mind you, we are now entering a realm of jointness. And this is one area where jointness has to come to fruition. If it doesn't come, I'm afraid we have a problem. Okay. And that is what needs to be understood. And I tell you, the machine grew in the American system. In the American system, they have been able to work with this. They have been American Air Forces, they have been Marines, and they have been tackling targets out in the open. But they were doing a lot of counter-terrorism, which I have my doubts of being able to push these machines into counter-terrorism, because till so far, we have not used air power for against terrorist activities within our country. So eventually, as I see, the machines have been brought in or inducted to take on the battlefield surveillance area and the kind of battlefield scenario which may emerge. This has been conceived. But to reiterate again, if both the forces have aviation systems, then they have to go together and jointly they can work it.
Okay. General Arora, your viewpoint, because 6 of these attack copters have been ordered for Army as well. So the question here is, why attack copters for the Army, specifically in the emerging battlefield scenario, as was pointed out by Commander Dixit as well?
So it's not a question of jointness as such. It's a question of requirement of each service. Now, these helicopters, the Army has been asking for these helicopters for operating in the tactical battle area for their own operations, in which the attack helicopters are considered one of the maneuver arms. For example, infantry is one which goes and attacks the target. The mechanized forces, that is the tanks and the APCs, are another arm which go into mobile warfare. And then there are these aerial assets, the attack helicopters, which have to operate together in conjunction with them. The Air Force has its own requirement. There's not a question whether Air Force should have them or the Army should have them. But Army requires them, and they must have them if they are to fight an integrated battle in a mobile maneuver warfare. The second thing is, after Operation Parakram, we came up with the new philosophy, an operational philosophy, as you know, is called cold start. Some call it offensive operations, in which our strike corps are required to mobilize quickly, launch swift operations, predetermined, and not wait for integration to happen at that time. That's where these attack helicopters are required to be part of the strike corps. And what the Army is getting is to optimize the effectiveness of the strike corps. So each service has its requirement. Armies world over have operated their own aerial assets, whether they were attack helicopters or fixed wing. In the Army, it came a little late. 1986, the Army Aviation Corps was sanctioned, but initially they flew only light helicopters, utility helicopters like Chetaks and Cheetahs. And then thereafter, they have progressed, and it has been accepted by the government in 2012 that they can have attack helicopters, and the debate took place that time. The issue has been settled. So, of course, that way Air Commodore Dixit is right. There's no need to discuss
We will go to Air Commodore Dixit as well. But before that, let us bring in General Pawar here, from who's been with the Army's Aviation Corps. And specifically, this question, the debate has been settled, as rightly pointed out by General Arora as well. But the question specifically, the reason why I'm raising this here is because the same attack copter is being given to Army, and the same attack copter is being given to Air Force. So if you look at the utilization, in terms of utilization, how would it be better utilized by Army, or how would it be rather utilized by both Army and Air Force?
Let me just clarify a few things. While the debate is settled, he has quoted 2012 government this thing, and each service has its own requirement. But the two units which were procured in the late 80s and early 90s, the Mi-25-35, the Russian attack helicopter, it's not an attack helicopter. It's a gunship. It is not a classic attacker. It's too huge. Were Army units operationally under Army's command. And I'm not just saying it, it was operationally, but manned and flown by the Air Force. We have to understand this. Anytime operations start, these two units were under operational command. Even for training, they were under the command of Army at the corps level and the command level. When I was the ADG Army Aviation way back in 2004-5, 2 years before that, we even started exchanging pilots. Army pilots were part of these units, attack helicopter unit of Mi-25 and Mi-35. So it is not that the Army, it is, in fact, I would like to say these are Army assets maintained and this thing by the Air Force, and therefore the Apaches, when they were coming, tomorrow if there's war and the strike corps have to go in, I am very clear in my mind that the 22 Apaches with the Air Force will form part of the operational plan of the Army. There's no doubt.
Okay, so clearly you're saying that that will definitely be part of the Army. Commodore Dixit?
Yeah, I was only wanting to correct an impression about cold start doctrine. In Operation Parakram, it took us 6 months to get the troops there because railways could not move. So the 6 choppers can do nothing. I'm afraid that impression needs to be corrected. But otherwise, the attack helicopters combining with the Air Force has enormous advantages, which General Pawar has yesterday said. And after all, we are fighting a war for our country, isn't it? These differences have to be resolved. They damn well be resolved, if I may say.
Okay. Going back to General Pawar, and this time going back to the Apaches K-26 as well now, since that debate is settled, and we clearly have the view from three of you as well on how will it be utilized by either the Air Force or the Army. One very important aspect which has been pointed out by the experts when it comes to Apache is the fact that it would, its survivability has improved. So one, what are we looking here when we talk about the survivability of an attack copter? And two, how is it improved in terms of the ones which we are getting from Boeing?
See, survivability for an attack helicopter. Let me tell you, the most vulnerable is a helicopter in a tactical battle area. So what you can do? You can have countermeasures, which are aplenty on this, against missiles, against radar. Even the exhaust has a higher suppression, which means it will attract less. Also, it has got crash-worthy seats, it's got crash-worthy landing gear, which is all pointed towards, and also armor plating, all pointing towards survivability of the helicopter. But I must make one thing clear. It can be the most sophisticated helicopter in the attack helicopter in the world. It cannot operate on its own. It has to operate in a combined team. Otherwise, what will happen is in the first Iraq war, hundreds of Apaches just destroyed.
Correct.
Because they thought they can go into the war and win the capture things on their own. No, they need air defense, they need infantry, they need armor. It's a combined arms team. It cannot survive on its own. That's the fact.
So that's going to be a joint effort. That's what you're pointing out. Let me bring in General Arora here. General Arora, again, from the survivability point of view, as well as the one which was pointed out by General Pawar here, that this would require a sort of a team effort as well. But in terms of survivability, it is as advanced as it is in terms of its lethalness.
Look, one is you have to compare with what we had so far. We do still have the Mi-35. As compared to Mi-35 Hind helicopter, it is far more survivable because the Mi-35 is too large and it doesn't have the kind of countermeasures which Apache has. We sent the Mi-35 to Israel to upgrade it at one time. Even it didn't have night fighting capability. So some measures were added. But the countermeasures which Apache has, the longbow radar that it has, which allows it to acquire, track, and engage targets and also prioritize 128 targets at the same time without it being discovered in being in hiding, makes it much more survivable. Its size makes it more survivable. Its armor plating makes it more survivable. I think amongst the attack helicopters, and mind you, we considered two more attack helicopters when we decided on the Apache, the Kamov 52 Alligator and the another helicopter was
Hunter, Mi-20.
the Mi-48, 28 Hunter, Night Hunter. We considered those as well. Those are also very advanced helicopters, and they also have the countermeasures which we are talking about in the Apache. But then there were political considerations, there were survivability considerations, there were capability considerations, which tilted everything in favor of the Apache.
Okay, let me bring in Commodore Dixit here, and specifically, since we're running short of time, one last question is, how do you see Apache adding on to the strength of the forces, be it the Air Force or the Army, when it comes to the actual battlefield usage?
Phenomenal. But I tell you what impresses me. Under a joint venture, we are going to make the Apache within the country. That is, sir, is a great achievement in my view. And fuselages will be made here, and then the Boeing wants to take them back to fit it out. But hopefully,
in fact, first of that has already been
and
sent.
hopefully this technology will permeate into technicians. You know, in our Make in India venture, if we succeed in trying to understand these fancy, sophisticated platforms, we are successful. That is our goal. Because we can't keep spending this amount of money to 22 machines, $2 billion. Well, we need it, so we get it. But down the line, we have to make it ourselves. That, sir, is my utopian goal.
Okay, General Pawar.
Apache, there is no equivalent. It is the only attack helicopter which is tried and tested the world over. Iraq, Afghanistan, and Israelis use it day in and out. The Mi-28, the Ka-52, still not battle tested. And therefore, we may have the LCH, Light Combat Helicopter, very good, but high altitude. That's where I need that. There is no, I cannot compare LCH, it's a light, and with the Apache. The Apache is going to be a force multiplier in any future war. We have these 22 plus 6. And I feel we'll be getting more. Because you can't have 6. 6 doesn't form a tactical unit. We're going to get more. Let's say 33 of these with a strike course. It's a force to reckon with.
Okay.
Anyone will have to think twice.
Okay, it is a force to reckon with. General Arora, specifically, adding what Commodore Dixit was also pointing out, the joint venture part, the Make in India part, and the TOT part as well. Is this the best deal which we went for? One. Two, when we have this from March 2019 onwards, how will we add that heft to our strength?
Of course, this is one step closer towards having a complete ecosystem for making planes and helicopters and fighters in the country, which the Tatas with Boeing have started making the fuselages. As more and more such aircraft come, in which parts and fuselages have been made by us, it's good for the country. There will be more orders for outsourcing these kind of functions. But I am waiting for the day when the 39 attack helicopters, which are required by the Army for making the 3 squadrons for our 3 strike corps, when they will come, these are only coming for the Air Force, 11 of them and 6 for the Army. It will take time for the complete 61 helicopters to come. And that will be the game changer. The strike, because Pakistan is using the Cobra, which is far inferior. And they have ordered the Turkish T-129 attack helicopter, we call it. And the Chinese are using the Z-10 attack helicopter, which is quite superior. So we are now going to be equipped with something which is going to be more lethal than both of them, and The earlier we get it, the better it is.
Okay, but as our guests are pointing out, the earlier we get it, the better it is, and we will get, or rather start getting these Apache attack helicopters from March 2019 onwards. And as our panelists have pointed out, that these will ultimately be a force to reckon with and will add much more heft to our armed forces. We'll come back again next week with a different topic and different set of guests. Till then, you keep watching Rajya Sabha Television, and you can also catch this episode of Security Scan on our YouTube channel.